Today we're going to talk about dirty, lying, cheating. Here we go.
This is your life, no one else has gotta live it. This is your fight that only you can win.
Hello everyone and welcome to Freedom Friday, where you learn how to free yourself and live your dreams. I'm Darienne, your certified spiritual rock star, and if you want to get these videos and spiritual free advice every single week, make sure you subscribe to this channel. With that being said, we're going to talk about cheating today. I started off with dirty, lying, cheating, but I don't know. I have an opinion about cheating, or I've learned a lot about cheating, both being the cheater and the cheatee. And I want to say, before I even start this video, start talking about this, I understand it's a very sensitive subject for a lot of people, so I want you to know that I am neither for or against cheating. I'm not giving my opinion about whether you should or shouldn't do it. I'm just merely telling you what I've learned about the subject as far as my own experience is concerned. Take it or leave it. The reason I am making this video is because for a little while there was quite a theme in some of the messages that I've been getting from you guys. And it was a lot, not a lot, but quite a few, a nice pretty little number of women that had either fallen in love with or been attracted to or had an emotional relationship or an actual physical relationship with a man outside of her husband. Of course, I'm not going to name names, but there are a few of you, and I know that there are many of you that I have spoke to that end up with these, end up marrying someone and then cheating on them, falling in love with the person, and the majority of you were resisting that relationship, resisting like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person, I shouldn't be doing this, and really, really genuinely trying not to do it, and asking me for help. And so I'm probably going to do a couple videos on this, I'm not quite sure, but for right now, I just want to talk about cheating in general. I'm going to tell you a little story about my life, as I normally do, just so maybe you can find some relation between you and I. So, I come from a family of women that are wild, right? Women that can't be tamed, women that are just wild. Women that literally will get up on the bar and dance, even in their 60s, which is incredible. So I have this line, I come from this line of very strong, very wild women, intelligent, capable women. And so relationships have been displayed in a very interesting manner. Let's just put it that way. So the beginning of my dating life, which for me started, I guess you could say, in the end of middle school, high school, around that age, around the age that my daughter's in, when you start liking boys and, and I cheated on every single guy I'd ever dated. Now, of course, when you're in middle school, it doesn't really count. But I kept going into my adult life. And even in your 20s, I don't think it really counts when you're cheating. But if you're married in your 20s and you're cheating, it probably counts for somebody. But I had this experience of just cheating, lots and lots of cheating. I was doing it all the time. For me, it was about control. It was about many other things. But then I also was cheated on. I was cheated on by just a few people, but the ones that really mattered the most to me. So I definitely got to experience both ends of it. I got to experience what it was like to be the one cheating, and I got to experience what it was like to be the one cheated on by somebody that I genuinely, wholeheartedly loved with all of my heart. And so I experienced the heartache on both sides. So I'm just coming from that angle right now. So what I learned, the first thing I learned about cheating, number one, is that you can't cheat anybody but yourself. And the reason that is because what I realized was that all along, yes, I was the common denominator. I was cheating in all these relationships, and I went through this. Maybe I'm a terrible person. I don't know. I went through all of that stuff. Why can't I just be monogamous in a relationship? Why can't I just stay in this relationship? And then what I started to consider was that I'm staying in these relationships that I'm not happy in. And my way of coping with that is going out and cheating. My way of not only coping with it, but usually I made it so that I got caught because I wanted an out. It was my unhealthy way of communicating that to my partner that I needed an out. A lot of times I felt very, in the instances where I went out and cheated, a lot of times I felt very tamed. I felt like a caged animal. I felt like I was trying to conform and maneuver myself to fit into this monogamous traditional relationship where I'm supposed to be a certain person, and it just wasn't fucking working. Really wasn't working. And there was a few relationships in there where I did not cheat, and usually it was because either, you know, the relationship wasn't really that intense, or I really had to push through it, like almost as if I was an addict having to watch myself every day, like, don't cheat, Darienne, don't cheat, don't cheat, don't cheat, don't cheat. And there were many times where I look back on that where I'm like, there's plenty of times where I kind of did cheated, but it didn't really count because I didn't do certain, you know, and I convinced myself that I didn't cheat, but there was pretty much always a time. But I ended up feeling very, very caged. And so in my opinion, very unhealthy, really immature way of expressing my need for freedom and liberation was to go out and cheat. Eventually I was just like, fuck you, dude, I'm gonna go bang somebody else. And ain't nobody gonna stop me. Or, you know, it was my way of finding that liberation. And so that's what I discovered about cheating. And I know that there's a lot of you that are, you know, maybe there's a different reason. Maybe you found somebody that just lights up your fucking world. And you're just like, it's not that I'm a bad person or that I want out of this relationship. I was okay with this relationship, but this is something I've never even imagined, you know? So I want to just suggest to you the possibility that maybe, you know, maybe you didn't realize you were not fulfilled in your marriage. But the biggest thing is that maybe it's not that you're unfulfilled in your marriage, but maybe it's that you're unfulfilled in yourself. There really is no reason to try to gain outside liberation or freedom or joy. There's no reason to need that when you're already in line with yourself. I can feel you all going, I know. I can feel all of you. Like you just went, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Obviously, I'm not completely fulfilled with myself. Maybe you feel as if your relationship is holding you back from being yourself. Maybe you feel as if your children are holding you back. Please just take responsibility for it. I promise you, you are not the only one that feels this way. There are so many oftentimes where I feel that way. I'm not in a marriage, but there are so many times where I feel like my family, my children, as guilty as that, as much guilt as comes up with that, my children, my relationship bogs me down and makes me feel like I can't be free. Only because I am not a person that can be dictated to responsibilities that I am supposed to have. That's not because I'm a bad person. That's because the way I see it, the way I'm perceiving it, is in such a way that makes me feel like I'm being controlled by outside influences. So I want to just suggest to you, and this is, I mean, we are really in this together right now because I'm discovering this right now. I think for the last few years, I've been really sort of tearing down the walls of marriage as I see it. And not just marriage, but the concept of relationships and the roles that we're supposed to play. And it's really cookie cutter. Relationships are really fucking cookie cutter. I mean, really as a whole, if you look at the world outside of ourselves right now, we're really fucking cookie cutter. You know, it's just now becoming not so weird and awkward for there to be gay people in the world. And for people to accept that. Like, we're just now getting to that. We're just now maybe considering a woman running the United States of America. Like, we're just thinking about it, but we're not there yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're still very fucking cookie cutter. We're still we're still pushing the propaganda of the American dream with the white motherfucking picket fence and the 2.5 children in suburbia. You know, we're still in that essence as far as the outside world is concerned. And so I remember when I was, and really I'm voicing this because I know so many of you feel this. I know so many of you think this, and hopefully I'm liberating you in feeling okay about feeling this way. Because I feel okay about feeling it, and you should too. And I would love to continue the discussion down in the comments because I think that this is something that we should talk about. And this is something I would love to talk about. But I remember when I was 22 years old, and I used to, I was like those girls. I had a wedding file before I had a man. You know what I'm saying? I was one of those girls. I had my dresses picked out for my bridesmaids. I had the cake picked out. I had the location. I mean, I was one of those girls. And I wanted the dream. I wanted, you know, that was going to make me who I was. I don't know what I was thinking back then. And by the time I was like 22 and I had no prospects and I had already had a child and I did the housewife thing and I fucking hated it, frankly. I fucking hated it. Like, if there was no more a soul crusher, it was being a stay-at-home mom where I was, not that I love being a mom, and I am technically a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home working mom. But the concept that my only purpose is to tend and care for someone else and to wipe asses and clean faces and boogies, and that is my only purpose. And then make sure that dinner's on the table for my man and that he is sexually satisfied. Like, that's my only purpose. You know, I wholeheartedly, with everything in my being, resist that. Reject that. That's not even in my radar anymore. I'm like, that's fucking crazy to me, you know? And this is I'm totally not judging anyone that feels so fulfilled in that. For me personally, you know, obviously I'm a stay-at-home mom. I am a stay-at-home mom as I say this. But I need to do something else. I need to know that I have a purpose in this world. And some people, they feel purpose in knowing that they're, you know, helping to harvest these beautiful little human beings. And yes, I feel that too, but even greater, I feel a need to connect with you guys. And that's just me. So no judgment. This is just my thought process, okay? But by the time I was 22, I started just getting really cynical about it. I was like, I'm never getting married. Fuck this married shit. And deep down, I really wanted it. And now that I'm 31, just disclosed my age, but not that I care. Now that I'm 31, almost 10 years later, when the day that I started just thinking, okay, maybe I'm never gonna get married, I started to just go through like, okay, will I be okay if I never get married? And I was extremely successful. I had a very successful job, career-wise. Back then when I was 22, I was traveling, I was very independent, eventually became spiritual. I mean, I got my shit together. I'm an independent woman, you know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know. I think now I'm to the point where I don't even understand marriage. as the cookie cutter form of it. You know, we've developed this idea that, you know, I am the woman and my job is this. And as your partner, my job is to be there for you and be loving towards you always and to make you happy. And that may seem like, well, what's wrong with that? That's wonderful. That's great. But then on the other side of it, I'm saying, and you are my man and this is your job. It's to protect me. It's to make me feel good when I don't feel good. And what I'm doing is I'm replacing my soul's job with someone else. I am replacing the purposes of my job, my soul, the purposes of my soul, my soul's job, my soul's responsibility. I am replacing with a human being. And I'm saying that no longer will I depend on my own inner being to bring me joy and fulfillment and happiness. Now it's on you, buddy. And I'm not saying that all relationships are like that, but I'm saying some way or another, I have yet to find a marriage that is not built on that foundation. And I'm not saying that you don't have, some of you don't have beautiful, happy relationships. But if you did have beautiful, happy relationships, I don't see why it wouldn't be okay to let your man go off and be with another woman if you knew that it was truly, deeply in line with his spirit. And if you were truly, deeply in line with yours, you would have no issue with it. And so cheating wouldn't even exist. It would just be like, I'm just following my soul's desires. And that's it. You know, and so I'm just starting to question. Not starting, I've been questioning this for a little while. And now I'm like, not saying I'll never get married, but I for damn sure will not get married based on the traditional, you know, you will be mine even when I'm miserable. You will be stuck with me forever in sickness and in health till death do us part. Like, that's too much for me. That's like, listen, if you're in a real shitty mood, I'm gonna kick you out my house so I can be happy because you are sacrificing, your misery is sacrificing my joy right now. And so I'm gonna get up out of here so that I can go find my joy because I can't do it here. That's the only thing I think I'm really married to is this: God. And that's why, I don't know if you could see it, that's why I got that tattoo. Because I think genuinely the only thing I could be married to, wholeheartedly committed to, saying that you are the #1 top priority in my existence, is my own soul. And I realize I've been blabbing for 20 minutes almost. But this is a subject that I think I could go on and on about. So that's it. I think maybe we should do another video on this because this will be a very, very long video if I continue. But I just want you to consider the concept of cheating. Know that if you're the one cheating, there are other ways of handling it, honestly. And it's really just an immature, unhealthy way of being able to express yourself, being able to reclaim your freedom, and understand that even if you're not unhappy with even if you are unhappy with your relationship, it may not be, you know, it's not your man's job to make you happy. It's not your man's job to bring you heaven and give you bliss. And you may think, but this man does. Of course this man does, because you don't have years of hell that you just fucking put up with that man. You don't have years of looking at him as seeing him for all the shitty things he's ever done. You see just the beauty in him because you haven't been with him long enough to fuck it up. I'm not saying you would fuck it up, but I'm just saying the concept of, you know, you haven't been with him long enough to see his bad side. And of course it's wonderful because that's not there. And when that's not there with any human being, when that is not there with any human being, you will see bliss. You will. When it's not there, when the ego's out of the way. So that's why it's so fucking heavenly. Because you don't have all this shit like you have with your husband. So consider that maybe it's not your husband. Maybe it's not that man that's bringing you heaven and all these beautiful feelings. And maybe it's not your husband that's bringing you hell. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's because you keep looking to them for something you should be looking for in here. And I say that with the utmost love, and you know it. You know it, honey child. Listen, I know how you are. I'm just like you. And I also know that I can tell it to you straight. I know I can. And I know you can hear me, and I know you can feel me. That it may seem a little cocky, but it totally comes from a place of love. It totally comes from a place of me wanting you to know yourself. So like, get off the relationships for a little while. Why don't you just be with yourself for a month, right? Tell your husband, listen, make up an excuse. Listen, you know, I think I'm just gonna like journal for a month straight and like make like a really, you know, I just got some shit going on. I think it would be good for me, you know, and not be like, you're an asshole because you didn't bring me this and you didn't do this and or keeping it in. Just be like, listen, whether you're unhappy because of him or somebody else or something else, just say, listen, I'm just not feeling so good right now. And like, I don't know, I think I'm just gonna like journal. And even like if he's a complete narcissistic asshole, go to the fucking bathroom and say, I gotta take a dump. And just journal in the bathroom. I can't believe I just said that. That's really funny. Now I'm gonna blush, but seriously, I mean, you don't have to explain anything to him. If you're like, my husband's a fucking asshole, well, then you shouldn't be in the relationship. But I understand that. It's not your husband that's the asshole. It's your perception. Quote me on that one. All right, guys. This is a fun subject. I like this. I think I'm going to keep talking about it for a little bit because I talked a really long time. I didn't even realize it. But I love you all. I want to hear what you think. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone too much. I know that's a definite possibility. I want you to know that I totally come from love as much as possible. But I do understand that this is a touchy subject for a lot of people. But I want to know, I want this to be a safe space for us to talk. And if it's not, if you're in my Rock and Empath group, that's definitely a safe place to talk about this. If you're an empath, my group on Facebook, link down below. Or if you want to really message me, I can't always answer people back if it's an in-depth conversation. So I really want to have this conversation. So let's just, you know, no judgment. Let's just chat down below and really, you know, look at this. Just put a nice little white bubble around this video in this chat forum and just say this is a really safe place to talk about this. And let's not, maybe don't talk about your own personal experience, but just, you know, let's just debate about it. Let's talk about it. What do you think? What do you think about cheating? What do you think about marriage? What do you think about this whole, you know, this whole foundation that we've built as a society as far as a relationship is supposed to go? Let's talk about it. All right? I love you guys very, very, very much, and I will see you next week. Mwah.